Hi everyone, and welcome back to Darlene's Creative Studio. As promised, I'm going to be doing a tutorial on making a small lap book that I can take to some of my meetings, my art group meetings. I want to have something that I have everything together, a little notebook, little post-it notes, a calendar. Whenever I go to a meeting, we kind of start looking at dates, and I like to have all the information together in a little book. So I'm going to create a little lap book, and I did decide on using two of the smaller Shakespeare books that I purchased at a secondhand store. I tried to find two that were very similar in width for spine. So they will end up being like that, and I'm going to add a spine to the back so that the lap book will open this way. So I'm going to quickly go through all the steps in preparing it and then what I'm going to put in it. Before I get started, there's a few ladies that get together: Marjorie, Sherry, Kathy, Janice. There's quite a few of us that get together. I think it's Marilyn. We do a little journal group in Chesley, Ontario. And we just had one on Tuesday. We do it once a month. And we've kind of opened it to some of the Junk Journal Canada people. We're going to send out a little blurb if anyone would like to join us. We're going to try and do something in October on a Saturday, so we will get that information out to you. But we just had a lot of fun. We just get together, we chat about journaling stuff, we show each other our journals, and we actually work on our own projects. We don't go in there and actually have one specific thing we work on. So this past Tuesday I tried a little file folder journal. I created the journal before I went and then worked on it while we were there, and this is the result of my journal. They're from file folders, and I've just added some scrapbooking paper and some lined paper, and then added some odd pictures. Now this is from a book that I had saved. I think it was called In Your Garden by Sarah something with an M. Anyway, but these were some of the pictures that were left over that I really loved and wanted to use in a journal. So these are the pictures that I've used. That is also from her book, and that's one of my little postage stamps. There's a little tag. This has a little pocket up here with a little journaling card, and then there's writing on that side, another little piece of card, and then in this pocket I created a little booklet, again using one of her pictures from her book, and it just has a few little line pages in there. But there's a lot of pockets when you make this little file folder journal. And then there's this one with the journaling card up here. And then there's another one of her pictures and a tag. And then this one just has a little journaling card in it. And then there's another one here. So lots of writing space. It was a lot of fun to try and make. There's another one of her pictures. That's from another book, these little floral pictures. And then it closes like that. I haven't decided on how I'm going to use as a closure. I might not need one, but it was a lot of fun. We were just chatting and discussing different things that we liked and different people we watch on YouTube, and it was a lot of fun just to try and create, and then showing each other our ideas and you know, kind of learning from those. So that was what we made at the little, that's what I made at the little journal group. I know Marjorie and a couple of others were working on some journals, but it was a lot of fun. Anyway, back to the tutorial. So I'm going to be using two of the smaller books, and these books are about 6 3/4 by 4 1/2. So it's going to make a nice size that I can just throw in my purse. And what I'm going to do is create in the spine in the middle. When I create that, I'm going to put some eyelets in there so that I can put a little insert inside and then just use that each month and then take the insert out and replace it. So I want to be able to reuse it over and over again. I don't want to just have papers that are sewn in. So to start with, I'm going to take the insides out of the book, and I like to save the first end paper. So I just kind of pull that back a little so that I can get some access to the spine there. Like that, and then I take my knife and I just pull it apart a little bit more. And you want to be very careful. You want to put the blade this way so that you don't cut into your spine. And you just cut down like so. And then I'll flip it around just because it's easier to see the other end this way. There we go. Again, I'm just going to cut it down like so. And there. So there's the one side, and I've kept this end paper intact. There's no cut there, it's intact, so I can use it. Then I'm going to flip to the back, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to save that end paper by just pulling it back a little bit, because they usually glue them to that last page. Pull it as much as I can, and then I'm going to flip that all the way around, and I'm going to slide my knife down. So there, that is been cut out of the inside, and now I have two little end papers here. And then I normally will just fold that back and trim it up. Now one of them I don't need, one of the end papers I do not need. I only need one end paper to save. So what I'm going to do is, I'll show you this way. See where the edge of the book is blue? And then this is the end paper that sticks out, but it's got that almost like cheeseclothy book paper stuff. So I'm going to actually just cut that back. Try not to cut the spine. You want to make sure you're not cutting the spine. Alright. Okay, so I cut that little piece off. So there's an end paper, and it's a nice thick, crisp end paper. So I save these and make little tags out of them. But we may end up using that later on in making the journal. So this one I'm making sure I don't cut the paper. I'm just cutting back on the excess. And if we cut it, it's not a big deal, because we're going to show you how to use it for the middle spine. Oops, I missed a piece. Okay. So there's my end paper still intact. So then what we want to do is reinforce the spine, because right now it is just the fabric and this little tiny piece of paper, and I just want to make them a little bit sturdier. So I take a piece of chipboard from the back of a book, or a paper stack. You can use from the back of a paper stack. And then I just measure this. And usually you can go by the piece of paper that's there. That tells you about the thickness you want, because when you close the book like this, you still want to have those little indents still there. If you make the chipboard too thick, it ends up rounding out your book, and you don't have those little indents any longer. So literally you just want to have the size of that back. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's about 5/8 spine. So I'm just going to quickly measure that. Grab a pencil here. So we would cut this 5/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. So, and then I just take my ruler, line up those, and let me get onto my cutting mat here. Can you still see? Yes, you can, on the cutting mat. And that's why I have the cutting mat on my desktop. I like being able to just cut things without having to go and grab my mat. So we're going to cut that spine. This half of my work table is glass, and this half has a big, huge cutting mat on it. I like the glass because, and I don't know if I have my little, I use this little blade. Whenever I get glue all over, I can just scrape it off and clean off my desktop, and it's good to go. And it just takes off all the little paint and or glue. So it's great to have a little glass top that you can work on and glue on. That's just a little tidbit there. Alright, I'm just going to chop that a little bit off there. Okay, so what we're going to do is add this 5/8 inch spine, and I just do it to the top of the paper and the bottom of the paper. And again, I will cut that little bit off. And then I will glue that in there like so. I'm really sorry I haven't had too many tutorials lately. The summer has just flown by. Had lots going on, and then my husband and I did a trip out to Kennewick, Washington to visit my son and my new grandbaby. They have a 3-year-old, Lukey. Hi, Lukey! And he was very happy to see his grandma and papa. We Skype a lot so that he can see us, but when we got there, he was jumping for joy and followed my husband around like a little shadow for the whole 5 days we were there. It was really cute, got lots of great pictures, and then I got to hold Lincoln, and he was just wonderful little baby. So cute. So we had a really good visit. So we drove out there. It took us 3 days to get there and then 3 days to come back in the car. So I had a lot of time to plan and think out things. So that's what I actually did coming back. I actually had a little notebook next to me, and I was laying out some ideas of what I wanted in my lap book. Things that I needed when I'm at a meeting. You know, I'm grabbing little post-it notes for little notes for me, things to do, a pen, obviously, my business cards, a calendar. So these are things that I want to add into my little lap book. So there. When I close that, see how I can still see the indents go in a little bit? You don't want it to be too thick that it puffs out your spine here. So that's in there. And then you just take your end paper, the one end paper that you've left in, I can get hold of it, and then what I'm going to do is just cover that spine with that end paper. So I usually cut this back a little bit. So I just fold it and cut it back. And I'll just cut across here. And again, I'll save that and make some little tags. But I'm going to glue this on. And I like to make sure that I get the indents. Oh, this has some loopies on it. Of where, like that. So I'm just going to fold that. So this will actually be glued down into that little hole. So let's start with the first one. So we're just going to use some Fabri-Tac glue, and I'm putting it in the seam, not on the cardboard yet. And I use my little, let's get some of the dry glue off there. I'm using this little, and I'm just pushing gently. I don't push too hard because you don't want to rip the paper. But you also want to be able to indent it so that when you close the book, the paper is sitting in that little indent that you have there. So I'm trying to make like a little fold on that edge. Right there. There. So there's a nice little fold there, and I've just rubbed that. I have all kinds of glue. I just did something with fabric, and the glue came through the fabric and onto the, there we go. So now we're going to glue the little spine piece. Like so, and I got a big one. Glue oozing out the end onto my finger. It's still oozing out onto my finger. There we go. So you push that down, and then we're going to do the same thing with this little indent. We're going to put a little glue there. And we're going to push down gently. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing down and against the little chipboard thing to give it that little fold, down and in, down and in. And you just want to make sure you don't move the paper too much on the other side. That's why you should really let it dry a little bit more. But for this video, we're just going to go ahead. And then you just want to make sure it closes properly. Yep. Okay. And again, I'm just going to push that down and hold it for a second till it grabs it. And then we'll just put a little bit of glue for that last little piece of flap. There. And we're going to glue that piece down. And I usually use my brayer just to get that nice and flat. And if it doesn't have that bend in it, it lifts up that piece of paper. So you want to make sure you get that bend and then make sure your paper is down. So that when you bend it, it bends properly. There, we're just going to let that dry a little bit. So then we would do the second one as well. I'm just going to let this one dry. So then we would do the second one as well. I'm not going to go ahead and do that one. But then for the inside piece, so this will be one of the lap books going this way, and this will be the other one. So we need to create a spine in the middle. And all I did was measure the width of my spine, that's still wet, this way. So it's going to be about 1.5 inches with the two books together. And when it's dry, you want to kind of squeeze your little indents in, just so you get that nice same width of a spine. And I'm going to cover the spine outside of the spine with fabric, so I'm not too worried about it being perfect, because this is going to be covered. See how this is a different color than this. So then I take these two books and I will lay them like so. And I know that I want about a 1.5 inch spine, and I want it to be 6 3/4 long. So I'm going to cut another piece of chipboard, 1.5. by the 6 3/4. And I'm going to put it on my cutting mat, and we're going to cut that down. Like so. And then we're going to make sure it's 6 3/4. Or you could just lean it up against the book and do it this way so that you get the exact measurement right there. So let's do it for both sides. Oh, that was close. And then you just cut that little end piece off. Like so. So then I will have I'm just going to show you real quick. And then what I do is I take a little scrap piece of that board and I put it in between the book and the spine, and I push it over, and that will give me a little gap like this that we had in the book, this little gap here. So when it bends, it closes. So I'm just going to use my spacer and line it up. And that will be the width between the book. And then what I do is I just grab some masking tape, and I'm just going to tack that down, because I'm going to cover this with paper. So that will just hold that in place like so. And I'm going to grab these little scissors and cut that off. I don't need that little bit extra hanging over. There. And then I'm going to do the same with this side. I'm going to go ahead and trim this out. And same thing, you want to space it. Oops. Like so. And then add another piece of masking tape. And then what I'm going to do is take this spare piece of paper, and I'm going to do the same thing I did with this spine. I'm going to cover it with the paper so that I have the same. Now you will have some that shows across the top, but that's okay because I'm putting fabric on the spine and I'm going to bring it around and cover that. But I want to have these two more or less match up like so. So I'm going to create those little indents by folding the paper and creating that little fold where I want the folds to be. So it'll make it easier when I'm gluing it. I'll already have a little fold there to push down on. And then that will hold the whole book together so that I can fold it up, and that will be my spine. When it's folded up, that will be my spine. And the reason I made it so that it has a little space here is that is where I want the little booklet that I'm going to make with the eyelets to sit between the two books. I don't want them to be inside the books because I'm going to be using these for other things. So that's is the first step, is preparing the book like that. I am going to cover the inside with papers, so it doesn't have to be neat and tidy. It just has to be enough that it's covered so that if anything does show through at any point, it has some paper there. So I will be covering this as well. And then all I've done for the spines is I've taken a piece of fabric and I have cut it to go, this one I believe was 3 inches, so this is 1.5. I cut something that was 3 inches and I ironed in the edges so that I have a nice smooth edge, and I've just fabric tacked this and I made it longer and tucked it over the edges. And then the same with this spine. I've just cut a little 2-inch piece and glued it on. Now I didn't tuck the ends in because I am covering the fronts with fabric. Okay, so once we get to that stage, and again it depends on what width your spine is, what width the spine of your book is. So none of these measurements that I'm giving you will be specifically for your book, but you just want to make sure that you go out a little bit, because once you put the paper on there, your paper will go about 1/8 of an inch inside that little bend there. So you want your fabric to go past that on either side. So when you put your paper on, it covers the edge. And again, your fabric will go over and onto the inside by about 1/4 of an inch. You just want it to flap over and glue it down. So I'll show you how far I've gotten by the magic of the special camera. So this is my current book that I'm using. So I've taken 2 of the books. I've done the paper spines, the chipboard spines, and added the paper. This is my main spine. It was 1.5 inches. I taped it with masking tape to hold it in place. Then I added this paper on top. And then when I flipped it over, I took a 2-inch piece that was, I believe, by 8 inches, and I glued it on the spine and wrapped it around. And you just snip the right where the little folds are, not right to the book. You leave about 1/8 of an inch, and then you push them in. So these are all glued in with Fabri-Tac. And then this particular one, I actually folded the edges in just in case the paper didn't go to the edge. I wanted to make sure that spine did not fray. So that is the outside of my book, and this is how it's going to fold, like so. And then I've just started adding, this is the paper pack that I was using. Boutique Basics, I believe it's a recollection, so I got it from Michael's. It was on for 45% off, so I grabbed one of these books, and this is the outside of the book, and I just measured it, leaving 1/8 of an inch extra, and then cut and glued it on. So there's my front cover, and it's covered the blue part of the book. So I've just taken a little piece of paper and cut it to fit just slightly smaller than the book. So you can see 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And then while this has fabric on the spine, it covers that edge of the fabric. And I am going to add another picture to the front of this. This is just my background, if you will, cover. So I've gone ahead and done that one. I've gone ahead and done the inside. And then I'm just going to start working on the insides. But again, what I was trying to do was lay out some of the things that I would like inside my book. So this is some of the ideas that I had. What was I going to do? Let's see, 5 and 6. Okay, so I'm going to create, I just took a piece of, it's not vellum, it's actually marker paper. It's a little bit, you can see a little bit through it. And I created an envelope, and that is going to go on, once I put the paper down, on the inside here. And this will hold stickers or any little bits of ephemera or whatever that I need to add if I want to add it to any of my pages. So this is just for, or receipts if I'm at a show and I need to tuck a receipt in there, or they give me a receipt from something. So there's my little envelope there. Then on this side, I've taken some brown paper. This is the painter's paper that they put on your floor when they're painting your walls after they've laid your floor. So I've created this little coin envelope, and that's going to go on this side. And what I'm going to have in there is some extra index cards. So if we're doing a special event or a project and I know I have to do certain jobs for that project or that event that we're doing, I like to write down the steps and have them there. So I will have some index cards in this little envelope. So these will be on the inside, and then I'm going to put some eyelets in here, and I'm going to have a couple of little inserts there that I can take in and out of the book. So that will go on that side and that will go on that side. And then what I wanted to make sure I had was a little pad of post-it notes. So on this side, I'm going to add some post-it notes. I'm going to just keep a little envelope, and I'm going to have these so that they are removable, because I'm going to have a little envelope here with some of my business cards in it. Or I have a membership badge. It has my name on it, and it has our group's Shoreline Artists name on it. I may even stick my extra name badge in there, because we have to wear our name badges at our meetings. And then I will have my post-it note there. And then I'm going to add, I'm not going to use this one, but I'm going to create another one, and I'm going to add a little pen pocket here, and it will hold my pen. So that's why I didn't want to have my booklet come up into the insert that I'm making, come up into this, because this is going to be fairly hefty and it closes perfectly. It's not too wide. So the post-its and my business card and my pen holder will be there on that side. And I'm going to create for this a little trifold cover. So it's just cardstock, and you glue your post-it note to the back of this. And then I'm going to put Velcro on the back and have it kind of sit there, and then it will just close up. I won't put the little button on the top, but that's where that will sit. But I'm going to make it out of the matching paper. And then again, you just open it up, write on it, or pull out a post-it note. So that will go there. This will be glued in to hold my pen, and this will be glued into, and I want to be able to remove this so that I can get at my membership card. So that will be on that side. And then on this side, I'm going to take a little mini bowl clip, and I'm going to create some little papers here, and it's going to be my things to do. So if I have to, you know, call somebody or set up tables or get the tablecloths or whatever we're doing for an event, or I have to do up the newsletter and I have certain articles I want to add to it. So this will be things to do, and then I'm just going to do a couple of sheets with some lines and some little squares, and I'm going to actually stick those in here with a little paper clip, bow clip, and that will be my things to do list. So I'll have a quick little things to do list on there. And then I can take one away as I need it and get rid of it and just add some more. And then I may make a little dangly that can hang from this on the outside. So that is what's going to go on that side, the things to do list. And then when you close up the book, and I'm going to continue and make this, I'm just showing you my layout plans. On this side, I'm actually going to use my little corners that I have, my little photo corners. There's two here. And I will attach the calendar here. So this is the yearly calendar, and I'll use my little photo corners so that I can replace this and use it for another year. And then on this side, I'm going to have monthly. So I will have whatever month we're in plus the following. Maybe I may even have like 3 months worth in this side, so that we can plan our events and whatnot. This is great to see into the future if we're planning a show to the future, or we're talking about a meeting date that we need. At least I can see that, and I'll circle them as we're working on them. But this side will have the monthly again with the corners, and then I can take them out and replace them. So I can leave this open on the desk, and it will have the calendar in front of me. I will take the insert out and I'll be writing in it. And as I need things, I can just flip them open, take the things to do, take out an index card if I need it, grab a post-it note, my pen, you know, that type of thing will be handy for me to get at. And then this little envelope will hold any receipts or any information that I need to bring home with me. So that's basically the structure of it. So I'm going to keep going, and we will continue on the inside and cover up the inside with some paper.